we have, of course, Toronto International Film Festival does a great job supporting Chinese film. They always, but TIFF has a responsibility to showcase film from around the world. They certainly do their share for Chinese film. There is Real Asian Film Festival. There's this film festival, which is the Canada-China International Film Festival, which actually is in Montreal for some reason. I was honored to open the ceremony this year. They did a second opening in Toronto, but they decided they wanted to do that one in Montreal. We could have said that, a few years ago, we could have said, well, Canada, there's a lot of leeway because we don't get necessarily politically sensitive with China and things like that. I can't say that's particularly true right now. I can't say that, relations are not the greatest they've ever been, so we have to be sensitive if you want to get involved with the film industry or any industry. Right now, you have to think about if you wanted to get involved with the Chinese film industry or any creative industry in China, you have to think about what is it that you have or what is it that we have in Canada that they don't. So we know they can make gadgets. We know they have great technical expertise. But what they don't have right now is innovation and creativity. And innovation and creativity leads to good content. And the reason is because the education system. So anybody who's toured a middle school or a high school in China, you know that if you look at the desk, the books are about piled up this high because the education system is still about learning, memorizing, and then repeating. And that suits the government just fine because they don't want you to question your teachers. They don't want you to have critical thought, which is the opposite here. We encourage students to have critical thought. We encourage students to criticize and ask questions and challenge their teachers. But in China, they don't. So usually the people that you meet that are the most creative are the ones that have received a foreign education. And I would say that in the film industry, most of the people that are the most exciting that I've met in China are people who've told me that they were educated, well, outside of China, especially when it comes to creativity. So I would say where the future is for Canadians is think about content. In my recent trip to Beijing, I went there because I went to meet with an entertainment company that is basically on the leading edge of what is now, we have it here, those theaters where you sit in the theater and the row of seats moves and the wind blows and the water splashes in your face. Those are called 4D, but let me tell you, these guys are taking it to the next level. So this was a theater and everybody's individually strapped in. And I have never experienced content like this before. When you are strapped in, they put the goggles on and then you hold on. And I can't even describe it, and I wish I could show you a demo. When I was in it, I was in a helicopter, and it takes you through this whole storyline. It's an actual movie about the history of flight. And then, of course, they show off all the Chinese space program while you're there. But you're sitting next to these virtual people, and when you turn, you actually see them a few inches away from you. It was absolutely creepy. I had never seen that before. And then you have a flashlight on your helmet, and everywhere you look, that's where the light is. So you actually feel like you are part of the story. One thing that they're excelling in China is equipment. So they have all the best equipment. These are all those seats that I showed you were all made. All of this stuff is made by this studio. So what you're seeing here, the company is actually called So Real, and the company behind it is called Sky Limit Entertainment. They actually were the ones who designed all the special effects and whatnot for the Beijing Olympics. And behind me, let's go to the next slide here. Actually, go back one. That's me, by the way. Okay, behind me is in that studio, is a 5,000 square foot room. Now when you put your goggles on, you get transported into a virtual room that looks completely different than the room you're in. And you actually get onto elevators and travel on different levels, but you're not really traveling on different levels. and there are zombies coming after you, and there's monsters coming after you, and you're walking on a plank that looks down to 300 feet, you really believe you're going to fall if you walk off this thing. And this is all content. This is all stuff that requires producers, editors, directors. They come up with storyboards and storylines exactly like they would with a movie, except it's even more complicated because they're giving you the power of choice to make the decisions as to how that movie is going to play out. The next slide. So what this was actually me I was in a subway station. I mean, it's just a white room to you guys, but I was in a subway station, and I was on one subway platform, and there was a bunch of people shooting at me from the other side of the platform. And the thing about this particular room is you could hide behind the objects. I have no idea how they do that, but it was using a combination of Oculus Rift and some other technology. But if there was a table here, you literally could hide behind the table. Crazy, I know. So all in all, I came back extremely excited because I see the opportunity in when we just talk about film, about the arena of sort of passive film and watching film. In terms of Canada being a part of that, I don't know how much we can actually provide. And I have basically brought a lot of people from China to some of our best programs at Ryerson, at Seneca, which is now the leading animation program in the country, because they inherited pretty much all of Sheridan's teachers when they started offering university courses. And really, a lot of the programs now are focusing on virtual reality and augmented reality. So, as a word to end this is what I would say if you're at all interested, anybody, in getting involved in the film industry in China, is first of all, you got to be innovative, and you have to think media consumption. Don't just think about traditional watching of film, because there's nothing traditional about the consumer in China. The consumer in China is so savvy, nothing surprises them. And you need to find partners that are a very good fit. You need to find partners that do something very, very well, but what you do is not necessarily something that they can do. And then you learn from each other. And the worst thing that can happen, and I've been told this by many, many Chinese partners, potential partners, is never, as a foreigner, walk in there thinking you're the teacher and they're the student. Because they have quickly caught up to us. Even with the entire decade gap of the Cultural Revolution, even in the fact that they've been very far behind us for many years, they've caught up extremely quickly. And I think that most analysts are right, that the Chinese film industry will surpass Hollywood in the next few years. Thank you.